Donald Trump, Caleb Howe writes at Red State this morning, says that the Clinton Foundation, and specifically the donations it accepted during her tenure as Secretary of State, should be fully investigated. Of the few things I agree with from Donald Trump, this one I agree with the most of all. Of course it should be investigated. And of course it'll never be. Just like her email scandal was never investigated. Well, it was investigated, but it was never prosecuted. This is never going to even be investigated. We all know why. But it should be, because it's shady, or as Trump puts it, the most corrupt enterprise in political history, outside anything he has anything to do with. Selling access and favors is despicable, and the people who buy it are usually nefarious individuals of low character, like Donald Trump. As Hillary press flack Brian Fallon was helpful to tweet out, Trump donated to the Clinton Foundation while Hillary Rodham Clinton was Secretary of State. Doesn't that mean he's calling for an investigation of himself? Well, yeah, he actually is, although he's probably not smart enough to realize it. And, you know, that may reflect why just last week Trump was saying, well, I think we should give we should give Mrs. Clinton the benefit of the doubt on the Clinton Foundation. Because at that particular time, he realized, oh, yeah, well, I did donate quite a bit to that. So, so maybe I shouldn't bring that up. But now he's out there saying, investigate, investigate. So it's like, I don't know, is it his typical mental fractal chaos, or is he just that stupid? Your guess is as good as mine, folks. Anyway, that was a tweet from the aforementioned Brian Fallon, who is Hillary Clinton's press secretary. He is in a position to know when the donations were given. He's swinging wild because the evidence mounting against her is astonishing. Not that it'll ever amount to anything. More than half of the people who are not part of our government that met with Hillary while she was Secretary of State were Clinton Foundation donors, reports the Associated Press. There were thousands upon thousands of emails and hundreds of millions of dollars at play, and favors were done. Where there's smoke, there's fire, and even the media isn't ignoring this smoke. Fallon and the La Clinton Nostra should be worried, although no, not really, because it's never going to be investigated. Hell, I don't think there would be time before the election anyway. Trump, meanwhile, has defended his practice of donating to Democrats, and specifically his donations to and praise of Hillary Clinton, as being simply the totally defensible and understandable and necessary nature of doing business. Defending corruption on the grounds of everybody else does it. He was stacking up favor with her so she would be amenable and helpful to him. You know, like a transaction. You know, like the exact kind of transaction he is stating should be investigated. He's saying that today. Last Thursday, he was saying, give it the benefit of the doubt. You know, like this thing he did for his business was part of something that he described this week as a clear example of a RICO enterprise. Something that he says corrupted and disgraced the State Department. He's saying that about a practice that he not only participated in, but defended as merely sensible on his part. When you give, they do whatever the hell you want them to do, he said. As a businessman, I need that. And I suppose as a candidate, he needs to criticize it? Like you can compartmentalize the two? You remember what party label under which you're running, Trump? You don't get to do that compartmentalization when you have an R after your name. Some offer a defense by asking if Trump got any access or any greased wheels as a result of his donation, as if to suggest that maybe he was just being charitable and there is no harm, no foul. But charity is not the reason that Donald Trump himself offers. As you can see, and he claims it was very successful. He said it on dozens of occasions this election season. It's his characterization. Who says he was donating to the Clintons for access? Donald Trump said that. Quote, "I've got to give to politicians because when I want something, I get it. When I call, they kiss my ass." The Donald Trump Kiss My Ass Club. His words. Case closed. This absolutely does matter, Trump supporters. Despite the fact that the above tweet is from a desperate Clintonoid. Well, probably not that desperate. I mean, do you know why the people who buy influence thus peddled are usually nefarious and of low character? Birds of a feather. Because what they need and want, they get from the Clintons. They can't get without paying. It is for that very reason it is such a despised practice. But even for those of less degenerate intent, it is still a gross perversion of our system of government. Yet, Trump not only admits to participating, but cites it as an example of his business savvy. Corruption is his business savvy. Trump supporters, that's what he's saying. And you think that's great. You think that's wonderful. You don't care if he's a crook. He's your crook, damn it! He's essentially arguing that it's smart to cheat while condemning the practice of cheating and demanding that it be investigated, but only on one side. I think he was better off saying, "Oh, let's give Mrs. Clinton the benefit of the doubt." And Fallon, on the other hand, of course, is arguing that neither of them be investigated because you can't investigate. At least he knows. At least he's figured out you can't investigate one without investigating the other. But Trump's fans, at least those replying on Twitter, naturally see no conflict here whatsoever. And that's the perfect example of the abandonment of moral, ethical, and common sense standards that occur when one jumps on the Trump train.
Come on! Nice and easy! Don't look down! That's it! You're doing fine!
In other words, as we said in the last video, political morality. The, "hey, I know it's corrupt because I was a part of it" argument only works if you actually condemn your own participation. Not if you brag about it as a smart and reasonable example of why you are great at business. And even then, it only half works. If your hitman is arrested for murdering who you hired him to murder, you're probably going to be in some hot water too, you see. You can't argue that you're just super great at knowing who needed murdering. It is either a reprehensible perversion of governance over which the American people should be outraged, or, it isn't. Degrees of culpability exist, but absolution is laughable. Yet, that's where we are. One of the candidates for president is demanding the other be condemned and investigated criminally for participation in a mutual transaction between the two of them. And his supporters think it's fine because she was selling while he was merely buying. It really is an absurd situation. It is so 2016. And this is what you get with the corruption of tribalism, what the Founding Fathers referred to as factions, factionalism. They knew that at its extremis, to the ultimate, taken to the ultimate extreme, this is the kind of crap you get. Fundamental corruption and the death of political morality, and the United States Constitution along with it. But we should investigate, though. Absolutely. It'll never happen because Hillary's going to win and she's not going to investigate herself. And Hillary's going to win because Trump. But Hillary has stonewalled on this like everything else. And the evidence shouldn't be ignored, but of course it will be. I mean, it should be investigated and all participants roundly denounced. But it won't be, and neither will they. But I will leave you with this to ponder. Again, last Thursday, Trump suggested giving Hillary the benefit of the doubt on this Clinton Foundation Secretary of State business. So, I don't know. Here's a question I guess you have to ask. Did Trump start taking his meds again, or did he stop?